Hey there and welcome to another episode of Seenu. We made it. We survived the mass transit update. Even though I tweeted just a day after the DLC came out that Seenu was in working order. In fact, I had 0 errors. I did have to go into my collections and remove all the mods that were no longer compatible. Most of them are actually baked into the game now, so that's a positive. But I will talk about in greater detail about mass transit in just a moment. First, I wanted to basically tell you what we're going to be working on in this episode, starting by this area right here, the southern tip of the Hithadhoo island, where we're going to be working on some farms. I remember in the previous episode, I showcased a little farm that I did off camera. This whole thing that I'm doing right here is going to be significantly bigger. In fact, in real life, there is a farm right where this one is. It's obviously smaller, but it's definitely going to be way more detailed than the one I showed, in the previous episode. So stay tuned for that. Also, after working on this little project, which we're actually going to finish in this episode, it's not going to be left undone. Hooray! Making progress. The industrial area that I left undone 2 episodes ago is also going to be completed in this episode. That's why it took me so long to get this one out, because I really wanted to sort of wrap, loose ends as much as I could. But all of that's coming. In the meantime, let's talk about mass transit. I didn't have a whole lot of time to try things out. I'm hoping to give this is by no means like a proper review or anything like that, but from the couple things that I did try, it looked a little bit lackluster based on the type of based on how we usually play this game. And by us, I mean like very heavily oriented around detailing and stuff like that. It does bring some interesting things to the table, don't get me wrong. There's let me tell you about some of my favorite things. I would start with like something really basic and dumb, but to me it's like a huge improvement. The fact that now we get one-way arrows, and now no longer have to use a buggy mod. It actually wasn't that buggy, but those green arrows, huge arrows showing the direction of the roads, it was a little bit over the top. So I'm glad that they just sort of redesigned the style of the arrows. Unfortunately, I'm not showing that on camera right now, but I was pretty happy with that. Now, another feature that I was really interested in, but it was definitely underwhelming when I tried it, was the road naming feature. I thought that you were able to just name whatever road you want, and that is sort of not the case. What I mean by that is that the game automatically names things for you, which is kind of problematic because it considers a road basically a segment that has 2 endpoints, right? So, I have a lot of those that are just, for example, when I have a road coming into a building, just so that we can get the little curve and the sort of the entrance into buildings, it adds a name to that. So unfortunately, one of the first things that I had to do when I got the update was disable that feature. Man, I was really looking forward to that. If you were able to just on demand name specific roads and keep everything else unnamed, that would have been amazing. I would have loved that, but no, it just automatically generates random names. Many of them are like in plain English, so they really don't even fit the theme of the map here, of this project at least. And of course, I will have to go and change them manually, which is kind of a pain. So for now, maybe it's a feature that will get modded in the future, but for the time being, I think I'm gonna keep it turned off and see if I can figure out some other way of using it. Now, another big thing that I was looking forward to, and I kind of mentioned this in the previous episode, that I was afraid it was not going to work the way I wanted it to work, which is very specific, mind you. In case you haven't noticed that by now, everything I do on these series is like, I'm trying to control every single aspect of the game. And what I'm talking about is the ferries. I sort of mentioned this in the previous episode that I was afraid that, well, okay, let me give you a bit of a context here. So when you place a ferry line with a new Mass Transit DLC, the path, that connects all the different ports or harbors has a line of buoys on each side, which, sort of mark the area where boats will be, sailing on or riding on. In any case, they don't look very realistic, especially if I just drag lines across the middle of the lagoon here in the atoll. It wouldn't look great. So, two things about that. I think that is a feature that it's easily moddable, and I think someone is already kind of working on it. I can't say for sure, but I think that's hopefully going to happen. Imagine I think it's going to work similar to network scans, where you just select the segment and get rid of certain aspects. But if that is not the case, if we are stuck with that the way it is vanilla for a while, the good news is that the ship line tool, which is the kind of hacky version of ferries that I was using before, still works and it didn't bug. So I'm going to be using that to connect the different islands if I can't use the vanilla one for aesthetic purposes or aesthetic reasons. So, it's not all too bad. I think the feature itself is pretty amazing, so I'm really happy about that. And, when it comes to all the other mass transit features, like all the other, for example, the monorails, I'm definitely not going to add monorails to this island. That makes no sense. And blimps, I don't think I'll use blimps at all ever. They're definitely kind of a gimmicky feature, which is, it's nice it's a nice to have, I guess. But I just don't play Cities Skylines that way, and I don't play the kind of goofy city thing. Type of city, which is, it's fine. I don't have anything against it. It's just not my style. But actually, you know what? One thing I'm hoping that this this blimp feature could easily be moddable to work as helicopters, because you do have all these shaders for the the rotating. The rotating engines, motors of blimps could easily be turned into helicopters that can also land at helipads. So it wouldn't surprise me if someone starts modding that. There's already mods that change the style of blimps, make them a little bit more realistic. So that could be an interesting feature. In fact, that could even be something worth putting right here in Seenu. But we'll see what the future holds. Just a quick comment here, what I'm doing on this time lapse. This is so dumb. I'm using the vanilla palm trees. Because this is supposed to be some sort of a palm tree plantation where they can get the fruits or coconuts or whatever from these trees. However, I forgot that I was running Prop It Up, so I saved the game, just went out off camera to do something else, and then when I load it, you're gonna see it in just a moment. All of those trees became these purple bushes. I'm not showing it right now on screen, but it will come up in just a moment. It was pretty funny. In any case, I ended up choosing a different palm tree, by the way. So mass transit, and the final thing that I'm actually kind of happy about is the cable cars. Right now, I'm not. Seenu won't probably have cable cars either. But hopefully we can do something on my Spanish channel, and that will hopefully translate to a nice cinematic into my main channel. So, that will be interesting project to do. Stay tuned for that, I guess. I can't promise anything right now because I still have to, do some testing and play around with things. But I think that could be an interesting bit of a project. And what else? Oh yeah, developments this week. I released another on the road video. And this is by far the best one I've made. Not to brag, but it came out really good. It's not 100% time lapse. There's some real time clips. So, like I said a couple episodes ago, this is a good series to get ideas and inspiration from. So I'm gonna include the link in the description again, and it's probably showing up on the top right corner of the screen as well. I even added town names in this one. I improved the graphics and everything else. There you go. Those are the purple bushes that I was talking about. I had to remove all of them and replace them. But yeah, I highly encourage you to check it out and let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have ideas on how to improve the series, because this is all like I'm breaking ground here. I didn't see many like time-lapse driven videos like this online, so I'm trying to sort of improve on the format as much as I can, but I haven't seen other people do it as detailed as I'm making them. So hopefully you can give me some ideas on how to improve it, and it could be a pretty interesting series for most of you too. And finally, this is another interesting thing that I want to talk about, and this hasn't happened yet, but it will happen soon, hopefully. I'm hoping to launch a little merch store, so already working on some designs that I think you're gonna really like. Of course, this is all to support the channel, and I'll probably expand more on why I'm doing this when I actually do it. But in the meantime, I do want to ask you in the comments to give me ideas for other designs that you might enjoy. So far, obviously, I have a couple of shirts and even like other types of products like coffee mugs, clocks, and things like that with the Strict Toaster branding. But there will be a few other products with, for example, the Seenu logo and the Interama logo, and even B School Hausen was kind enough to give me some high quality renders of the Strictos Air planes. So I'm working on some cool stuff that hopefully you can enjoy and wear. I'll definitely expand more once I actually do it, but let me know in the comment sections if you want to see other specific designs related to the channel that you might be interested in seeing. And yeah, we'll see how that works out. In the meantime, let's switch back to the time lapse, as I'm basically done with the farms, and it's time to do some detailing around this industrial area. And something that's worth pointing out is the fact that when I started this little neighborhood and I was putting down those buildings, I didn't have the Plop the Growables mod. That mod actually came out in between these episodes. And not only that, I was actually messaging TVP the other day because he was telling me that now I basically reported the fact that you couldn't have farm buildings in without changing the district. So he actually updated that. So now we can just plop any forestry or iron or any specialization type building without having to necessarily set such district to that industry, which is amazing. So now, I was having quite a bit of repetition around the types of warehouses that I had. So you're going to see between clips, because I go back and forth all the time. That's just me working on in this game. You're going to see a lot of buildings, be replaced with other types, specifically those in the forestry and farming categories, because those, those being vanilla buildings, they actually look really nice. Especially if you use prop it up and get rid of all the random crap that I don't care about, like the vanilla containers, for example, and just random bushes and things like that. Like I said before, I love controlling every single aspect of the game, and I have the tools to do so, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and do that. That building, for example, that red building, it looks amazing. We're going to turn this whole area into a bit of a lumber yard. So stay tuned for that, because it actually comes out great. And you're going to see that, in real life, this whole neighborhood is also an industrial area. There's a little bit of commercial too, obviously closer to the main avenue, to the link road. But it does have a lot of clusters of really heavy foliage in between the different buildings. So you're going to see me add a lot of those. Just as buffers between the different areas. And also, I really like that thing that we did in the housing project in the previous episode, so I decided to sort of replicate this same design with the dash curved painting on this main road. The roads around this area, there's actually an interesting mix of paved roads and dirt roads, and I think I struck a pretty interesting balance between the two, which I think came out great, and it's definitely worth the wait till the cinematics so you can actually enjoy all of the detail that's taking place here. In any case, I also want to point out something interesting about this area, which is, from what I can gather in real life, this is mostly a fishing harbor or fishing port. There's a ton of like really small boats that are just docked here, and due to game limitations, I actually had to add a cargo harbor and a passenger port, and because the international harbor we did back on episode 3 was completely clogged. I mean, there were so many trucks driving everywhere around the city, which didn't look super nice. So I ended up adding just 2 more terminals here to sort of distribute the load. I mean, the international port is still heavily used, but now this one is also being used as well. There's some larger ships that dock here every once in a while, but it does look pretty good. I mean, it's still pretty realistic overall, so I'm happy with that. There is, however, a little bit of traffic now on this area, and by a little bit I mean a lot. Again, you're gonna see that in the cinematics, but I also wanted to attempt a different type of port here. So actually, I never really done ports in Cities Skylines ever, like for like smaller boats and things like that. I've never built any marinas or anything like that in the game, so this was all new to me. And I was just looking at some reference photos, and for the most part, they seem to be all like clustered together. All these fishing boats, they're just like all tied to one another. And I decided to sort of, put some logs that extend from the basically the shoreline here to this concrete dock into the water, so that more of those boats can be sort of tied together, and in case one needs to leave, they could just untie that one in particular and they can just be on their way. So I don't know, adding this little like wooden structure right there in the water like made it a million times more realistic in my opinion. So I was pretty happy with that. Again, remember a little tip that I gave you in the previous episode. Just make sure when you put down boats that you make the water underneath really, really shallow, so you don't get those tiny boats just rocking too much back and forth. Making the water shallow makes the water not have huge waves, which means the boats are almost standing still, but not quite. They do rock, or swing back and forth and sideways, but it's definitely a bit more realistic, and it just looks nicer in general. So what you're going to see me do here is just create more of these clusters of boats in different areas that I'm later going to be moving and shuffling around a little bit as I put down the cargo harbor and the ferry terminal, simply because, well, specifically with the cargo harbor, huge ships will be docking there, so they were just clipping all over. You just saw one there. It was a little bit problematic, so I had to rearrange a few things, but it wasn't too bad. You can see there how I'm like moving some of these boats just to make room for the larger ones. And the traffic is being spawned from the middle of those bushes. So in just a few moments, I'm going to be tweaking that a little bit, creating a bit of a shed and putting some concrete down, so at least these boats spawn from like a more realistic spot. Now, this is something that I tweeted, and some people actually noticed that I was using fire hydrants as cleats to tie the boats when they dock. Because I mean, that's the closest thing that we have or at least that I had in the game when I was working on, and it actually looks pretty nice and realistic. So just wanted to add a little bit more detail, to this. To the shoreline, and I figured, hey, like, where do you tie your boats? Okay, let's put some cleats, and fire hydrants have that shape, so it worked out great. And over here, continuing with the detailing process, just adding a bit of cracks and patch asphalts and things like that, just to weather the concrete. We're gonna come back to that because I'm gonna be doing that a lot in different designs. So this one is actually pretty interesting. So I was trying to get some boats on top of that truck, and obviously the floating boats, you can't really race them with Move It. So I had to, I think I subscribed at some point to another boat that didn't require, that I was able basically to move up and down, and then just ended up putting 2 tiny boats on the truck. And that gave me an idea that you're going to see later on in this time lapse, where I'm going to be using all sorts of things loaded on trucks based on that design. It's not the first time I do it, but you know, it's funny because you do forget some of the techniques that you used before, and which is a good thing, because that means that you're not using them all that much and it doesn't look super repetitive, because otherwise this videos will be super boring otherwise. So I'm always trying to do different things and different techniques. Here, I mean, this whole neighborhood, I think that the part that I struggled the most was, decorating all of the backs of these buildings and try to make them unique without just adding random crates and boxes and dirt decals. It's probably the hardest thing to do without repeating yourself all the time. Of course, there's a lot of that. I'm not gonna deny that I didn't do that, but every single one of these back areas is just slightly different from one another, and also from things that I've done before. So hopefully that will keep things fresh and interesting. So for example, this one in particular, I'm just adding a ton of basically photovoltaics on the roof, because, well, this building in particular in real life does have a ton of solar panels on top. So I figured, hey, let's just go super real. And you know what? That's also one of the reasons why I'm sort of replicating a real life project. I do get this question. I think I talked about this before. Sorry if I'm repeating myself over and over again like a broken record, but it's people tell me like, oh, I want to play the game, but I don't know what to do because I'm out of ideas, or I'm like burned from such projects and whatever. And the reason why I picked this project in particular, and Ocampo, that cinematic thing I did on my second channel, it's because real life saves you the trouble sometimes of thinking what to build, because you just literally go into Google Maps and your Street View and it's right there. You just start copying what you see, and of course it's not going to be an exact copy of the real life thing, but the more you start working on it, the more you start to put your own spin to it, and that that's your creative process. That's how mine works sometimes. So whenever I'm out of ideas in Seenu, I basically look at Google Maps and even Google Images to find some references, and I just go by that. And by the time a couple minutes pass that I'm copying this thing, I start putting my own spin on things, and that's how you come up with your own elements or your own designs, I guess. And over here, like I said, I'm working on this concrete roads, and there's a lot of transitions between the different elements. So I was trying to use the concrete joints, the expansion joints, to sort of blend in the different buildings and the road, and of course all the dirt and cracked decals really do help a lot in that regard. They make a huge difference. This building right here, the one I'm working on right now, I ended up trying, I wasn't really sure what to add, to be honest. And I ended up just deciding to keep it really simple. Just leave that building there and add a couple of decals, add a park van, and that's it. Don't add any props or any things. You're definitely going to see more of that in just a moment, because I think these clips are out of order, to be honest, because I did make 2 clips of that. It doesn't matter. You're gonna see it in a moment, I promise. But as you can see, I'm just trying all sorts of different combinations of decals here to make these roads a little bit unique. This whole area of the sewage treatment plant was basically empty. We never really detailed when we were here last, so I decided to sort of try the same technique, have a crane sort of load this pipe on to the truck, and some little cones there for security measures, of course, because you don't want people to be driving on your on your crane and crashing, even though it's huge and yellow and bright. So I'm sure they'll see it from far away. And also, I wasn't expecting a lot of traffic on that road anyways. But in any case, I love this building, by the way. This tiny little building is vanilla. It's I think it's from the forestry specialization. I can't say that word, so I probably should stop saying it, or unless you don't mind I say it wrongly. Wrongly, that's also a word that doesn't exist. In any case, for example, this whole back of this building, I just decided to leave it empty. I mean, I really didn't need to fill it with things. All I needed to do was just add some tire marks and a few little clusters of trees and bushes and little plants, and that's it. It doesn't have to be any more than that. Same with that one over there. Just has a big grass lot in the back, but for the most part, less is more. So there's something. You don't have to fill every single gap or corner of your map, in order to consider it done. You can stop at different stages, and it will be fine. This one actually sort of follows the same pattern, even though this whole front part of this building is full of detail. That little corner over there, it's mostly left untouched, just grass and maybe a few decals and a few trash props, things like that. But it's not a bad thing to leave things empty every once in a while, so don't be afraid of that. In fact, having contrasts between the different areas is actually something that it's not a bad thing. And by contrast, I mean having areas that are not completely filled and just having clears in the middle of your forest, for example, or things like that. Just give it a shot. You don't want to saturate everything with buildings and details and things, because there's other ways to achieve things that look nice for the most part. And finally, we move on to a bit of a commercial area that actually exists in real life. In fact, this whole area between the link road, which is the national road that you see on the screen right now, and all the warehouses in the back, has a few businesses mixed retail business for that mixed between them. So I instead went for a whole block of buildings that are just commercial. And by the way, these are all vanilla buildings where I'm just removing all the ugly props that come with it, but the buildings themselves actually look really nice. And before I continue detailing that, just wanted to also talk about this little warehouse that, I was just making, the same type of warehouses with the same back area where there's just some materials and crates and boxes and things. And I decided to sort of change, the pattern a little bit and went for a bit of an abandoned building that unfortunately is still active. Like trucks will drive into it. I can't really tell Cities Skylines, hey, this one is abandoned, don't go here. But trucks still load from the road that's on the other side, on the other block, so it's fine. It's not an issue. However, on this side, we can just look at that gorgeous abandonment that's taking place at the back of it. And this door right here has a bit of an entrance, but as you can see, I'm just adding a few more details in this specific block. It looks a little bit more upscale. It has a bit more. It's a little bit cleaner overall, is what I'm trying to say. I do want to come back to this whole area later on and add a few more things, not just this commercial area, but the industrial area in general. Add a few more bikes, for example, things like that. But I think we're going to have to leave that for the next episode as I am running out of time. And if you enjoy this one so far, I would like to ask you to give this video a like. That's very much appreciated. And also, if you're new to the channel and haven't already, please consider subscribing. That way you're notified after I upload one of my videos. In the description, you're going to find everything from all the links to the playlist and my various social media in case you want to follow me there. I've been posting a lot of screenshots lately, so I'll encourage you to basically check that out. But that's it. That's all that I have to say for now. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.